Hi friends, welcome back to Brenna Knows Best. I'm your host, Brenna Berg. Hi! Oh my gosh, hello friends. Welcome to Brenna's podcast for like the 8th episode now. We're crushing. People keep asking me in TikTok Live, they're like, oh my God, you have a podcast? I'm like, yeah, I just started it, but I haven't just started it. We're in 8 episodes. That's like 2 months. Anywho, this week, okay, let's jump into the life updates, was May's birthday. So last week I told you it was on, let me think here, Sunday. So I bought her a cake from Lucky Dog Barkery in Dallas. You guys, this is the cutest dog store I've ever been to, but they had these frozen cakes. Okay, so I got home, I put it in the fridge. And then on Sunday, if you saw my Tuesday Instagram, we sang happy birthday and we cut just a sliver of it. And then every day we've given her a tiny little part. I think today is probably the last day before it goes bad. And it's not even finished, but I'm going to give her a piece. And that was basically it. Of course, we went on plenty of walks and she got a toy. Oh, when I bought the birthday cake, they also gave me a toy. It was like a birthday cake shape. And I'm trying to think what else happened. You guys, LaDonna sent me books. Okay, my grandma, I went down, I had a package, which I do get PR, so I'm never really expecting packages. I just get them. So I just thought it was going to be something. And then it was from LaDonna. And she sent me, you guys, she sent me this book, which I started. Okay, we'll get into the book update. The Story of Edgar Sawtelle. I honestly didn't read what it's about. I just trust that she knows good books. This, however, you guys, is like complex and like a deeper, more complicated read. Like it's a very sophisticated book, which I love, but compared to like the romance and Frida McFadden that are super like easy, this I really have to focus like the vocabulary. Just it's a very well written book, but I'm only on page 60 and I've been reading it for like 3 days now because I really have to like zone in. Okay, so this one might take me a while, but and I have a story for you guys. I just told this on TikTok Live. I posted a book update on Instagram a few days ago and somebody swiped up and commented, and the sentiment is like so genuine and like she was being so sweet, but we'll get into it in a second. She said, she was like, I'm so glad Carter got you into reading and it's just so great when a partner makes you better, which is true. But I don't think that Carter got me into reading. And I get where she's coming from though, because the reading originally started when me and Carter started reading to each other before bed aloud. Yes, if you didn't know that, we would read this freaking Texas history book. It was awful. Before bed aloud. Okay, but there was a few problems. Number one, I hate history. Like, I don't want to read that shit. And then I fall asleep as soon as my head hits the pillow. So he would be reading aloud and I'm out. So then I wouldn't know what was going on. It was just a hot mess. But that kind of got us back into reading. But I've read before. Like I've read all the Colleen Hoover books before. Like not as much as I'm into it now. Like I'm definitely re-entering. Like I feel like it comes and goes in waves. Like I remember when I read all the Colleen Hoover books a year or 2 ago. You just jump in, you start reading, and then it's easy to fall out of. But I understand where she's coming from. But like neither of us got each other into reading. We both are readers, but now we're back in it. So I totally get that, or like where it came from, but in no sense do I think Carter got me into reading. And so I showed him the comment. I'm like, look at this, like you're getting credit for me reading. And he was like, oh my gosh, that's so funny, whatever. So then I'm in bed that night and Carter's in the shower and he gets out and he's getting ready for bed and he's like, babe, I just really think you owe me a thank you, because now that I taught you how to read and you're getting into reading, like you have me to thank for that. Like he was being sarcastic and I was like, I will literally kill you. I won't pick up another book again. If you are going to take credit, I'm done reading. But it was so funny. And I'm trying to think what else has happened with Carter. Oh, I think I'm going to buy a coffee table today, you guys. So stay tuned on Instagram. Ours is falling apart and we just need a new one. Oh, and with our families coming for graduation, will we be hanging out in our apartment? Like, no, but obviously both of our families are going to come here at some point and all we have is the one couch. So I kind of want to get a different coffee table, which ours is about to literally fall to the floor. Like the bolts, it was like an $80 Amazon coffee table that Carter had bought before. So it's like falling apart. So that's a need. But then I think on the other side of the couch, I want to get a couple chairs, like 2, maybe 1. It's not that big, but just so like when my family comes, that's going to be 6 of us total and we can just sit because my grandparents are going to meet May. And anyways, speaking of my grandparents, back to them. She sent me this book, right? Last week, you guys, okay, I read The Coworker, Frida McFadden. Good. Like, she's a good writer. I like the books. It was interesting. It had me hooked. Not my like absolute favorite though. There was this character in here that likes turtles and they talk about it a lot. And I was like, okay, enough with the goddamn fucking turtles. Okay, so that got a little much. Anyways, and then I read The Wife Upstairs, which had me going from day one. Like I could not put this down, but it was super similar to The Housemaid. Like this girl is working at this super rich family or super rich couple's house. Like kind of the same storyline, a little bit different, still really good. And then, okay, so I'm reading Edgar Sawtelle, which I already told you about. Here are some more books that I've picked up recently. Sorry, don't mean to be far away. So I got, whoa. I went to Half Price Books the other day. I got Never Lie by Frida, just so I'm stocked up. I didn't know LaDonna was sending those books. And then I got this series, If He Had Been With Me, If Only I Had Told Her. This is a duo, okay? And then you guys, I just went to Costco this morning and I got Happy Place, which I've seen and I love this pink color. And then The Teacher, which Ashby, my girl, she told me to read. And I think I've gotten a lot of people saying that I need to read this book. So super excited about that. But I'm going to read LaDonna's first. That way I can talk to her about them and then give them back to her when she comes to visit. And also you guys, LaDonna sent a card to Carter for his birthday. It just got here yesterday because they didn't really know when his birthday was, and that's my fault, which again, whatever. But it was just this cute little card with a truck on it because my family is obsessed with just cars. And then she put a little note, just like she did with my books, that said, "Happy birthday. We hope you had like the best, wonderful day. We miss you. We hope to see you soon, or we will see you soon. Love, LaDonna and Gordy." It was precious. And what else? Oh, you guys, Carter took his MPRE exam, which is, there's the bar, right? The bar exam, the huge exam to become an attorney and a lawyer, whatever you want to call it. And the MPRE is like the morals and ethics of it. It's like professional responsibility type thing. So it's not for school. It's for becoming a certified attorney, lawyer, whatever. I think I might not be saying this correctly. But he had that exam yesterday morning, Tuesday morning, and he leaves, right? He leaves at like maybe 6:45 because it was at 8, but he and I are both those people that want to be early and they're on time. And he calls me, he brought his backpack, whatever. It's like 7. I'm sitting on the couch with May and he's like, "Oh my gosh, babe, is my ID and my passport like on the table?" And I'm like, "No." So I get up, I'm still in my robe. "It's over here on our counter or on this little dresser." And he's like, "Oh my gosh." And it's so unlike him. And I asked him that morning when he was getting ready, I'm like, "What do you need to bring?" You know? And he's like, "My ID and my passport," and that's good. And I'm like, "Okay." And then as he was leaving, like I'm the bitch that's like, "Okay, do you have your stuff?" But Carter is very responsible, so I don't need to remind him. Well, he forgot it. So I'm like, "Oh my gosh." So I go to the laundry. I quickly just throw on clothes and then I grab it and I get in my Tahoe and I meet him halfway, which it wasn't that far, but we met. I just handed it off to him and he's like, "Babe, thank you so much. Like, I don't deserve you." And then he went, he took his test. He doesn't know how it went until they said about 5 weeks, I believe. And then, yeah, so that's done. He's going to be working on his paper now. He's going to finish his community service. School is almost done. He literally has, after today, he has 3 weeks, 4 weeks maybe. No, I think 3 weeks left of school. And then his exams and then graduation May 10th. Okay, sorry. So that's what's going on. So I've been trying. I also want to get a rug in here. I've just been trying to like liven up the place. Not like my family or his family cares, but also because we're staying in this apartment, you know how we weren't sure if we were going to stay. I just want to decorate a little more, maybe get some artwork. So I'm kind of working on that. But other than that, you guys, I think that's my update. Yeah. Okay, so today's episode is going to be on friendships. And I didn't write out a notes thing. I didn't prepare much for this. So I'm just going to go through your questions that you left on Instagram because they all lead to the same sort of things that I would talk about anyways. How do you make adult friendships? Like if you move to a new city, how do you make friends? How do you maintain friendships as an adult? What about a friendship breakup? Like all sorts of things. So that's what we're going to get into. So I'm just going to go through the questions. I'm going to give my input, and let's also remember that this is a very specific person that is giving you advice. Do I know everything? No. I've never had a girl friend group. Okay, a big girl friend group. So like this advice is coming from a girl who has only ever had a few close friends. I also never really had an actual good girlfriend until college. Like I just want to say that so you know the perspective, because any person that gives advice on this planet, it's all coming from my individual experiences. So take it all with a grain of salt, but I think I give decent advice and I have really good friendships, and I've also never really had shitty friends, because if they're shitty, they're not going to be in my life. Okay, if you're not making my life better, goodbye. Okay, but just saying. So take it with a grain of salt. This is just coming from me, a 26-year-old bitch who thinks she knows a thing or two. Okay, let's get into the questions. Okay, first question, experience with not having beef but outgrowing friends. This happens so much. This is how all of my friendships have kind of dissipated. You just get to a place where you no longer either have things in common, or you're not in the situation where you were before. Like I think about college friends. A lot of the reason we were friends is because of proximity. And I think a lot of friends in our lifetime is just who we're around at a given point, like work friends. Okay. You become really close with somebody because you work together, or you're in a relationship. So then you get couples friends that do the same things as you, or like the nanny family. All of their friends now are like the people that their kids go to school with. Like a lot of our friends come and go just for different seasons, and that's so normal. Yes, can you have friends for a long time? Of course, but it's so normal to outgrow. And it doesn't even need to be like I'm now better than you. Like outgrow sometimes puts a bad taste in my mouth. It's just you grow apart. Like they could also think they're outgrowing you, just in a different direction, you know? And I think that in my personal opinion, there doesn't need to be a big conversation. Like all of my friendships that I have had that are no longer kind of just like stopped, you know, whether you move to a different city. I don't see anybody that I went to college with anymore. Like eventually you stop catching up with one another because I'm never going to see those people again. I'm never going back to Fargo, North Dakota. And that's normal. Of course, can you put in effort and make FaceTime calls? Like I said in one episode, I have my friend Chelsea, who I worked with, who I love, and we'll always be friends. I have not seen this woman in person since before 2019, but we text, she calls, whatever, we catch up. If there's like something going on, if she needs advice, if I need advice, we chat. But like I hopefully will see her again in real life, face to face again in my lifetime, but that's just the reality of it. And I think if you want to have a conversation with a person that you're growing apart from, I don't know how to lead that. Like I'm the person that things just kind of dwindle. I actually had a friend here in Dallas who I met through a job. She is so sweet. She is so nice. She was like very chaotic, right? Like very much a girl that is always having something going on. Like she's like, oh my God, my car didn't start this morning. Like she was such a drama queen, but I loved her. Like there was always stuff going on, but our friendship was very one-sided. Like she would always talk and I would always listen. She also was low key what started my TikTok account because she was dating this fucking loser who I don't know if she's still with because we're not friends anymore. But I would give her the advice. I'm like, okay, if she's going through this she's like 30, you know, other girls could use this advice. But again, it got so like always listening to her problems, always giving advice. Like it just, I always knew from the get-go it wasn't going to be one of my strongest friendships, but it had its moment. Like we worked together. Then we would go on walks while I was single. Like she was my friend that lived so close to me so I could walk to her. Again, proximity. Like it just was that season. And then we kind of just drifted apart and that was that. But it was no hard feelings, no beef. We just drifted apart, you know, and it happens and it doesn't need to be weird. And maybe she'll reach out in the future and we'll catch up. Like, I don't like to think about it being like such a hard stop. Like all of my friends that have been my friends at one point, if they reached out to me, like I'm there, you know, like what's up? How's it going? But the people I talk to on a regular basis, I have like a very few handful of girls that I'm like close with that I talk to on a more regular basis. Does that make sense? So that's my experience with it. All of mine have kind of drifted apart. There hasn't been like a huge blowout situation, but that's just me. How to make friends as a single girl in your 30s in a county you're supposed to marry young. Oh, interesting. Wait, county or country? It says county, but making friends in a place if you move to a new city. I got this question, and I moved to Dallas without knowing a soul. And I talked about this a little bit on a previous episode, so I apologize if you listened to that. But you kind of just have to put yourself in situations where you need to meet people. Number one, going places and doing things by yourself is like literally a sure way of opening yourself up to people, because I feel like if you go to a group fitness class, like you go to a Pilates class and you're in your little reformer, like look to the side of you. Like there's probably girls that are also by themselves, like say hello. And I feel like that can go somewhere. Or obviously you probably have a job, whether you have a close friend there or not, just like go out with those people. Okay. Then you'll make more and more friends. You know, for example, I thought about this. There was this guy, Gabe, at my internship when I first moved to Dallas, and he invited me to a sport that was called Gaelic football. If I'm not mistaken, it might not be Gaelic. I think that's what it was called. Basically, it was a mix between rugby and soccer. And I was like, sure. Like this Gabe guy, he was kind of awkward, but I was new to a city. I'm like, if I can meet new people, this is like a sport I can join. Cool. I went. All of the people were weird. It was super fun. They asked me to join like their team that travels. I didn't end up meeting people there that I really, really enjoyed. But again, I went to this thing like hoping and just trying new things. I also, once I made my friend Natalie, we did a sandbar volleyball league and I met people there. Like I only knew Natalie and her boyfriend on the team, but then I was introduced to the rest of the teammates, obviously, that were friends of Ryan's. Okay. And then you play other people, like friendships start there. Going out. Okay. Going to a coffee shop, even just like putting yourself in circumstances to then meet people is really what you have to do. And like I said, again, some people won't be your best friends, but just utilize those people if you're in a new place to then introduce you to other people, and you will slowly but surely find your people. My two closest friends, however, came from work or a workplace. So my best friend, Natalie, she worked at the Pilates studio that I worked at. I worked the front desk. She was going to be an instructor. It was random, met her. She didn't even end up working there. I met her like one time, but she is now like my bestest friend. And my friend Elisa, I met at my real estate job. At the time, we weren't close, but then afterwards, I got her job to nanny, and we've been close. Like now she's also my bestest friend. And those are my two closest friends, and that's how I met them at work. So sometimes it is work, but it's also just putting yourself in situations to meet people, which is awkward. But then once you find like even just one person, for example, Natalie, I met in 2019. I didn't then meet Elisa until into 2021. So Natalie was like my one good girlfriend. Okay. And I met her other friends. I didn't really quite hit it off as much as I did with her, which is fine. But then now her friends are also my friends. Like I'll see them at the events that we go to. Love them. They're great. But like Natalie's my person, you know, you just never know where you'll meet somebody, and the uncomfortableness of doing things alone and being awkward will get easier. But then also it just takes literally one person, similar to a boyfriend. Like it just takes one person to be your good friend, and it might come and go. Again, my friend that I was talking about, who I'm not friends with in Dallas, we were friends for maybe like a year, and then it was gone. It served its purpose. Okay, we had our friendship. It was good. Nothing was bad. And then it dwindled off. Like not every single friendship is meant to last forever. I don't think a lot of them are meant to last forever. Of course, you can put in the effort to make that happen. But I don't know where this comes from. Like having your bestest friend from age 3. Like, we idolize the story of it. Like, yeah, we've been best friends since diapers, which is cool, but I don't think that's the norm, you know? Okay, friendship tips when your friends are in different stages of life, married, have kids. That's so interesting because I don't have any friends that are married or have kids. And I think that, again, has to do with friends for seasons. And like, I'm thinking about my best friend Natalie, for example. She's in a long-term relationship. When she gets married, like, I go and hang out with her and her boyfriend, just the 3 of us. Like, I go and hang out at their apartment. I catch up. We used to do things before Carter. We would call ourselves a throuple. And we would go mini golf. We would go do tons of things together. And that was great. But not everybody is like that. So I think maybe if you can grab coffee once a month, once every 2 months, you just have to find the things that work, and it might drift apart and you have to be okay with that. Like, it's just a different life stage. It has nothing to do with you, but it's natural for us humans to gravitate towards people in our circumstance. Like I said, I learned a lot from the nanny family, and the mom specifically, obviously, I'm so close with. And she has like no friends now that she had when she was a single person. And that's not to say that they are bad people. Nothing bad happened. But again, you get married, your primary person is your spouse, and then you have kids and your kids are in activities. So then you make friends there. I think if it means a lot to you, you can put in the effort. But I think we need to kind of have a low maintenance mindset when it comes to friends. Like, if they're married and have kids, they do not have a lot of time to see you. And it's nothing personal. It has nothing to do with you or nothing against you. But think about it. Like, they have a full ass life. So they have such a small window of time, probably, if any, that they're free. And that's just the reality. But don't take it personally. And I think that, like, again, my friend Chelsea from college, she's in a long-term relationship. If she has kids, like, we'll catch up when we catch up. She's still one of my very closest friends. It just looks different. So I think it's also just accepting like the reality of it and trying to make it work, or deciding that they no longer have an interest in being friends, or they aren't putting in the time and nobody wants to be in a one-sided relationship. So that just might be that. And that's okay. Like, again, we have to stop taking things personally. It sucks, but it's just life. It's kind of just how it goes, I feel. Oh my God, am I giving the worst advice ever? Maybe, but that's just my views on it. Being best friends with people from work, I think that's normal. I remember seeing a chart, and I should find it and post it, that like our friendships, what they look like in our like specific ages. When you are an adult, you spend the majority of your time at work. So if you're constantly around somebody, that's like so normal to be besties with them. I think that's great. But also, if you leave or they leave, it might dwindle out, because again, a lot of the reason, yes, you might have things in common, but it is the proximity and like being with them 24/7. But again, perfect. Like, whatever. You guys are friends. Cool. I think that's great. Friends who don't put effort in the friendship anymore, never reach out, never make plans. Clearly, they aren't a good friend. And I think it's time to close that chapter. And it sucks, but go and make friends who want to see you. Again, nobody wants to be in a one-sided relationship. If you're the only one ever making plans, ever inviting them to do things, it just feels bad. You know, you feel like you're kind of clingy. Who wants that? Nobody. So maybe just kind of zoom out, zone out, fade out, and that friendship closes. It sucks, but I wouldn't want to beg my friends to like see me if they're never reaching out or never making plans, you know? Okay, this kind of goes along with the first question. Friendships that you feel you are growing out of, but the other person doesn't feel that way. And this is like a breakup. I actually just remembered a story. When I first moved to Dallas, I worked at Equinox, and there was a girl who loved me. She was a little bit younger than me, and she made the schedule. So we worked together literally every shift. But I worked at Equinox for like probably 6 months, and I would do things outside of there with her because we were really close at the time. I didn't really have any other friends. But I knew that she was just very immature and I'm just not that person. So at work, I could be that. I'm like, I would goof around and whatever, and it wasn't that serious. But like outside of work, I wanted to grow. I wanted to like start a profession. I needed to make money. And she was like living at home with her parents, just working at Equinox, the front desk. And that's what she planned to do her whole life. And nothing against that or anything, but we just have totally different mindsets. And I remember I left Equinox and it was kind of like my break from her, but she kept reaching out and I just kept putting her off, which is it shitty? Yeah, probably. But it's hard because she thought so highly of me and thought we were like best friends, but we were just so on different pages. And I was that way at work, but it's not who I am to my core. And finally, I think she got the hint. I just didn't know how to go about saying like, hey, I just don't think that we're compatible friends. Like, what do you say? And maybe I should have looked this up to find better advice, but I think, again, you always have to do what's best for you. And if a friendship isn't good for you anymore and makes you feel the way that I felt in that, you do just have to break ties. However you want to go about doing that. Am I suggesting like ghosting them? No, which is essentially kind of what I did. I just got less and less responsive. But if a friend is no longer serving a good purpose in your life, you need to cut that tie. Like you need to move on from them because who you surround yourself with is make or break. And it is so important to keep good people around that inspire you, that motivate you, that are good people that you align with on, morals and certain things. And if you stay in a friendship just because they want you there, like that's not a good reason, number one, to be in a friendship. And again, you have to take care of yourself. So I would just recommend breaking that off however you can and moving on. And it sucks and it's going to be hard for them. But just like a breakup, when you have to break up with a guy that you don't like, that you don't see a future with, it sucks. Like you can still love that person and appreciate the good moments that you had. But if it's no longer serving you, it's no longer serving you, Okay, girlfriends that seem so supportive, but then almost tear you down afterwards too. If you have a friend that is ever mean, tears you down, makes snarky comments, that's not a friend. That is not a friend, and cut them off. Like literally, I made a video about this the other day. Friendships, relationships, romantic relationships, your family, unless they are adding positivity, happiness, good things to your life, then don't have them. Like they have to add value and positive to your life, or what else are they doing there? Like that is not a friend. Would you ever to your friend tear them down, make mean comments, okay? Be jealous, like be mean to them? No, who would ever treat their friend that way? That's obviously not a friend. So that's a hater. That's a fake ass bitch. Cut her off. Nope. No. Do you think girls can have a guy bestie and guys can have a girl bestie? I think if you are both single, yes. I am a firm believer that when in a relationship, having friends of the opposite sex, can you have friends of the opposite sex? Yes, of course. Like I have guy friends, like guys that I have been friends with in the past. Do I talk to them on a regular basis? No. Carter is my person. Like Carter is my best friend. And as a respect to him, like I think it's just highly inappropriate if you're in a relationship to be talking to another person of the opposite sex constantly. I just don't talk to anybody on a literal regular basis. Even my girlfriends, we don't talk every single day. I think as you get older, it makes more sense. Maybe when you're younger, it's a little different. But as you're a grown adult, like with the job and things going on, who sits and just chit chats all day? That's just my opinion. Sorry if that's a hot take. But I think there needs to be lines drawn if you're in a relationship, like hanging out one-on-one with a member of the opposite sex, your friend that isn't friends with your partner is weird to me. But if you're single, totally. I have always been a guy's girl. I've talked about this before. Like I grew up with a dad and a brother. I've always liked sports. Like I've always majority had guy friends, unless I'm in a relationship. Then they kind of, they go to the back burner. Of course, I'm there if they call. I catch up with them from time to time, just like anybody. But I would never hang out with them without Carter or in a appropriate setting, which I think is good in a healthy relationship. But I think they can be friends, totally. Because I've had tons of guy friends in the past, guys at work or whatever. So yeah, just when it's in a relationship, gets a little, just like they take a back burner, which I think if a guy friend of mine got a girlfriend, yeah, I wouldn't want to talk to them all the time either. Like, that's weird. You know, they have a girlfriend now, you know? When you sense your friend is jealous that you're spending more time with a new partner, and this is going to be a hot take because people like to get so weird about this. Let's be fucking for real. When a person gets a partner, I hope that they would be dating this person to eventually hopefully get married. The one person that is the most important person in your life is your spouse, in my opinion. Like, are your friendships important? Yes. But like, as a woman, who is taking care of me? Carter. Like, no offense, but when I just think about it from my point of view, like my girlfriends along my whole life, when they get a boyfriend, naturally you spend more time with them right away. The honeymoon stage, like whatever. I get it. Like when my friend Natalie started dating her boyfriend a couple years ago that she's still with now, like of course she was spending a lot of time with him. Amazing. Like that is going to be her husband. Who the fuck am I? Like, yeah, we're friends, but I'm never going to take care of my friend. I'm not going to be the one providing for her. Like, it's so normal and natural. And I think girls that get like so upset about that, if they fall off the face of the planet and never speak to you, like, again, yeah, that's like toxic and like tons of red flags, but then that was never your friend. Like if they are genuinely your friend, yeah, they might not see you as much. Like if you guys were both single, seeing each other all the time, of course, when they get into a relationship, that is naturally, inevitably going to fade away. Hopefully they are still making time here and there. But like, again, my closest girlfriends, I see them both maybe once a month. They have jobs, they have boyfriends, they have things going on. And so do I. Like adult friendships are really, really low maintenance. I think like if somebody at the age of 28 is wanting to hang out every other day, that's a little bit crazy to me. And again, this is coming from a girl who's super independent and has never always, or who has always never really had a lot of friends. But if your friend is literally jealous and getting mad at you because you're spending time with your partner, I just don't think that's a good friend. Sorry. Not sorry. How to handle friendship dynamics changing after getting into a relationship. Again, it just takes a moment. And of course, right away, like if you start dating somebody or they start dating somebody, it's like hot and heavy in the beginning, and like have some grace and have some like, okay, they're really excited about this. If you're on the outside or if you're in it, like if that is your true friend, they will understand. I promise you. I promise you. Thoughts on being friends with an ex? I hate it. No, boo. Why, out of all people in this world, do you need to be friends with your ex? You don't. Okay. You don't. And I do not care if it was the happiest, healthiest relationship. I think it limits you in growth as a human being. Like, again, hot takes left and right here, I guess. And also, eventually, you guys are going to get into new relationships, and I just think it's so disrespectful. Like there's just no reason for it. Like I don't care. Every person who's been in a relationship with the person is as close as you can possibly be, but once you break up, that's it. Like I just don't see a reason or a need to be friends with an ex. Like again, friends come and go, and your ex of all people, I just hate that. I just think I used to when I was younger, I'm like, oh, this is the mature thing. We can be cool. But like, for what reason? Like, you guys aren't friends. You guys were literally partners. You were lovers. You were as close as two humans can get. And I just think that you can appreciate the moments that you had, but you don't need to be friends. And that's my opinion on that. Lifelong friends that you know aren't serving you anymore, but you don't want to cut out. I think you just have to, because what's the other option? Keeping them there and hindering your growth? Yeah, I know it's hard, but again, it's natural. It's life. Like we grow, we change, we get different interests. So like naturally our friends are going to come and go. It can be hard, but it's also just like, it's not that serious, and it doesn't need to be like a mean, bad thing. You know, it's not a rejection. It's just, you guys aren't the same people you were, which I would hope not, you know? Maintaining long distance friendship. So I have my friend Chelsea, who's in Minnesota, my friend Jessica, who's in Atlanta, and my friend Jen, who's in Chicago. Jen, I haven't talked to in months, but again, I love her. So like every once in a while, we'll audio message, we'll catch up, and that's it. I think you do the best you can and they might fall off, and there will be periods. This is also a big thing with friendships. There will be periods where you're super close and then not close. Like even with my friends in Dallas, Natalie, there have been moments where it's been like a few months since I've seen her, or there's moments where we don't talk as frequently, and that's so normal and natural, but like I know she's there for me if I need her, and vice versa. And so long distance friends, it looks different. Like if you can visit each other, cool. I'm trying to see my friend Jessica in Atlanta, but it's been forever. And again, Chelsea, I have not seen since 2019, but we catch up. Like we talk at minimum, I would say since I've left, every few months we'll catch up, or if she needs advice or I need advice, we go to each other. But it ebbs and flows, and you just do what works for you, and FaceTime when you can, or audio message, and be okay with them eventually potentially drifting apart. It's so normal. It's so normal. Do you think friend groups limit individual growth, and how to avoid it? That's such a great, interesting question. Do they limit individual growth? I've never, ever been a part of a girl friend group. And honestly, that's my personal hell, because I don't like that many people. Like to their core, I meet people and I enjoy them at a surface level, but the people I really vibe with is few and far between. So I just know that if there was a group of even 3 girls, I don't necessarily, there's going to be at least one I don't vibe with, like on a deep level. And like, I can't fake friendship and connection. So I've never been a part of a girl friend group. I hate to sit here and shit on them, because maybe there are some really good ones, but like when you see photos on Instagram of girls getting together, like I promise you, 2 of those girls hate each other. Like there's always going to be people in a friend group that are closer with one another and people that are farther, but like maybe they go out together. I encourage you to think about it. Like if you're feeling jealous, because I used to feel this way in college, like the girls that would go out, even though I like hate fucking people, it's natural to feel jealous. You're like, oh, why don't I have a girlfriend group? But it's not what it seems. Okay. It's not always daisies and roses. If any of you have ever been in a girlfriend group, I'm sure you can attest to this. I'm not trying to like shit on them, but I think it's normal just as humans. Like we're not always going to get along with the same exact people. That's kind of crazy. Do they limit individual growth? I think that people who, and again, this is just coming from my perspective, constantly need a friend group, or like cannot do anything without a friend, one person even, I think that can limit your growth, because I think as an individual, I have grown so much because I'm so independent, and I've never needed somebody like by my side to go do something. Or like, I know it's an ongoing joke when girls are like, I always have this one friend who I send my text messages to, so they tell me what to say. I've never had that. Like I've always made my own decisions. I've always sent the texts by myself without editing. I think though that gives you confidence, and it helps you become more independent, which just helps you grow inevitably. So do I think a friend group? I think it's on you to grow yourself. Like that's a very individual thing, because I'm sure somebody like me, if I had a friend group, I could still also grow outside of it. But I do think that there's a level of needing to be by yourself and do things by yourself that helps a person grow. Did I make any sense there? I don't know, but I loved that question. I don't think everything's so individualized. So I think for some people it might hinder their growth, but for others, like if you have a girlfriend group, but you still do things on your own and like have your own independence, you can still grow. So I think it just depends on the human. How do you maintain adult friendships, not just make friends, but stay in touch? Again, the ebbs and flows. Like I think you have to understand that sometimes you're really close and sometimes you're not, but like not judging a friendship on how much you talk or how much you see each other, because the quantity, like how much you see that person, does not mean that you are closer than people. For example, me and my friends who, when we get together, we talk about the hard things. We talk about like really deep relationship stuff and work and life and family issues, like quality over quantity. So just know that Like, yeah, you could go a month without talking to a friend. That doesn't make them any less of a friend than they were before. But do your best. Honestly, something that I've done in the past is put reminders in my calendar, reach out to, again, my long distance friends. Like sometimes I just don't think about them because they're not in my immediate life, which is natural and normal as humans when we have things going on. So like put little reminders for yourself, like on every other Thursday, like text Jessica. I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's normal that we're so busy. Just do whatever you have to and like do your best. And like that's all you can do, Not a question, but share your thoughts on adult friendship breakups, how to go about it. See, mine have always dwindled and I've kind of been a ghoster, which you might shame me for that, and that's okay. But I don't know, because all of my friends, like again, the friend from Equinox or my friend that I was friends with for a year, like nothing bad happened. Nothing dramatic happened. She didn't date my ex-boyfriend, like nothing like that. Like we grew apart. They were friends for moments. I don't think there needs to be this big blow up. If you want to be more mature than me, I recommend it. I don't know what to say, but yeah, that's my experience with it. They kind of just trickle out. My girl Lindsay said that this is not a question, just a statement. Making plans as an adult is hard. Totally. And that's why, like, when we think about our friendships, think about your friends and vice versa. Like, they have a whole ass life as well. Like, trying to find time to meet. My friend Natalie, she teaches dance. She has a full-time job. And then the weekends, she also works. So, like, this bitch is never free. And that's just life. But I still love her just the same. I just can't see her as much. So, yeah, it's so hard, especially when relationships get involved, because obviously you want to spend time with your partner. And like, again, once me and Carter moved in together, then it was easier to go see my friends because like I'm always here with him. But when you first start dating somebody and like you don't see each other all the time, the few free moments you have, you want to see your boyfriend or the person you're dating, or if you're just dating in general. So yeah, it's hard. But I think, again, this is why like we need to kind of have a low maintenance mindset. Like, I don't shame my friends when I haven't seen or heard from them in a while, because I've been there. I've been super busy and like I get it. I think we all just need to understand that we all have very busy lives and things happen. And sometimes like I might not even have a lot going on. I just am at capacity in my brain. Mental stimulation is at an all-time high. I just need to sit in my bed for a week straight, and that's okay. Again, I hope my friends would take their same piece and like do whatever's best for them, So yeah, adult friendships, it's hard in a sense that no, you don't see them as much as people that you saw in high school and in college. Obviously, those environments are built to see each other all the time. You live in the dorms, you live in apartments. Once you're in adult life, like you are so far away. So it's just harder. But I think that's why the maintenance of them needs to be lower. Like we need to just give everybody grace. Okay. Can men and women truly be friends, or is there always an underlying sexual tension? I don't think so. Like I've had plenty of guy friends, which I don't know how they feel, but I've been platonic and all of them are still like nothing ever happened. So yeah, I think so, but that's just my opinion. Bumble BFF, yay or nay? Okay, I used Bumble BFF when I first moved to Dallas. I had one experience with a girl where all of a sudden like we exchanged numbers and then she was sending me nudes. Okay, she must have been a lesbian, which is fine, but like, why are you on Bumble BFF then? It just scarred me and I never went on it again. I was like, oh, that was ew. It was just so crazy. So I think it can be a good thing. And I've heard of girls meeting on Bumble BFF. I would also challenge you to like use Instagram and like places that you go and maybe slide in. Also, there is Jenna Palick on TikTok, I think has city specific Facebook groups. And I would use that. Like there are so many things these days where you can meet people. So go to that. If I could host events like her, I would, but I'm not that bitch. What to do if you don't like your BFF's BF drove a wedge between us and changed her? You just have to kind of sit back and wait for it to fall out. Or if it doesn't, like that's not going to be your friend anymore. If you don't like him, I think that there is a time and a place at the beginning to say, hey, I don't think that he treats you right. But then again, she is going to do what she's going to do. And if you are truly her friend, you have to sit back and be there for when it goes south or when she needs you. But if her boyfriend's changing her and manipulating her, and then you're coming at her sideways saying he sucks, like she is going to side with him probably. Clearly, it seems that she already has. So you just have to back up. And it sucks, especially if you were best friends. But like, there's nothing you can do. You cannot force her, because even if you were to somehow convince her to break up with him, she probably will have weird feelings towards you about it, or like it will have bad blood. So I think you have to let people do what they're going to do, and it'll all happen how it does. Either she'll come to her senses, she'll come to you and be like, I'm so sorry, or like, I need help, yada, yada, and you can be there for her. Or this friendship might fall out if she stays with this loser fucking guy. But again, I wouldn't want to be friends with somebody who has a shitty partner. And this is what happened with me and my friend that I told you. I was friends with her for a year and she was with this loser. I think she's still with him. And it was so hard because like I was then now starting to be in a happy, healthy relationship. And I was before. And I'm like, we are just so on different pages. And she was constantly down and negative and complaining, and who wants to be around that? So if this girl is going to stay with that shitty man, like you probably won't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and that friendship will probably just fall out. That's my thoughts on that. My boyfriend said it's my job to win over the girls in the group who haven't been inviting. Fuck him. Wait, let me pull up a story. Wait, I can't read it because I don't want to out this girl, but we talked about her boyfriend and her having this friend group. Okay, let me just find it quick. I think her name, I audio messaged her. Okay, I just found the message that I was talking about. Boyfriends having lifelong friends that are girls who are not nice and welcoming. How do I handle? They are also a huge friend group, and he wants to hang out with the boys, but he knows the girls are mean. I don't want to push his guy friends away, but I can't hang out with those girls. Oh my gosh. My previous relationship, he had a group of guy friends, and the girls that they went out with sucked. And I'm like, I cannot. I told you before in this episode, I can be a fake bitch for a little bit. Like I can be like oh hi, I can do the small talk, but like if I don't vibe with people, I don't want to be around them. So we didn't go out that much because I've never, again, I've told you, been a big drinker, and neither was my ex. But like when we would, I'm like, oh my God, I'm just suffering. So I would either just let them go out, okay, and hang out with the guy friends so you don't have to be a part of it. Well, I guess that's all I would do. Like, don't make yourself suffer. Okay, wait, what was the first question? I apologize. She said, my boyfriend said it's my job to win over the girls in the group who haven't been inviting. No, it's not. When you know mean girls from mean girls, and if they're not accepting, like, this is a conversation you need to have with your partner. And if this is potentially your husband, like if Carter and I were in this situation, I just know that we wouldn't, because Carter hates people as much as I do. And well, actually, we've gone out with some couples when he's friends with the guys and the girls, like, they're nice, but I just don't vibe with them. Like, he does poker nights with them, or he'll hang out with the guys. Same with me. Like, my girlfriends, like, he's not close with the boyfriends, and I don't expect him to be. So I just see my girlfriends, and like, I'll go hang out with my girlfriend and her boyfriend while Carter studies or whatever. And that's fine. So yeah, that's a conversation that needs to happen with your boyfriend. Like, if you're not going to get along with these girls, don't force yourself to, because if they haven't been nice to you, like, that's so shitty. But if this is a guy who you're already like maybe not really vibing with, like, maybe just see yourself out. When your boyfriend's best friends are girls, what are you comfortable with them doing? I wouldn't date a guy whose only best friends are girls. That's just my opinion. Again, I wouldn't want them hanging out just one-on-one, texting all the time, Snapchatting. I just think it's so inappropriate, especially if you're my age in your mid-20s. Like, how do you even have that much time to like sit and text anybody? Like, again, I'm saying this as if like me and my girlfriends don't even text every single day. So I would just say, hey, I'm not chill, and don't use mine. Like, whatever you are okay with and not. Like, some people are fine with them hanging out, pop off, not me. Just say like, this is what I'm comfortable with, this isn't. Don't try and change him. Just say like, okay, if you're going to continue to do the things that like my boundaries are here, then he's just not the one. Because like, it is not worth you feeling sick over. Like, if you were worried about one of those girls, like, that is the worst feeling in the world. It is better to see yourself out and have those boundaries than to just deal with it and be pissed and probably get in arguments all the time because he talks to his girl best friends all the time. That's just my thoughts on that. How to find your people. I think you need to, number one, not settle for shitty friends and the people that aren't your people. And again, just putting yourself out there. Like, you are only going to find your people if you meet people. So go to things by yourself, go to events, go to workout classes or whatever fits what you like to do, and you will find them. Like, I really didn't find my person, Natalie, until 2019. I was literally 22 years old. And it took me being friends with a lot of fucking people. But then once I found her, like, she will be one of my friends for life. Okay, for life. And of course, will it ebb and flow? And if she has kids and I don't have them yet, or vice versa, like, that is okay. But I just know that she'll always have some sort of spot in my life. But it took me 22 years. But again, you have to, number one, don't settle for shitty friends, because if you're constantly, it's similar to a boyfriend. If you're constantly hanging out with the people that you are like surface level friends with, but aren't super close and tight with on a deep level, like, that's keeping you from finding the people that you are, you know? That's my opinion on that. That's how you find your people. I think my battery's dying. Oh shit. Let me wrap this shit up. How can I be happy for a friend who's in a relationship I don't support? You don't need to be. You don't need to be happy. Don't fake being happy, but just distance yourself. That's what I had to do with my friend. It's just how the world works. Okay, and then there's one more I wanted to talk about, and then I wanted to touch on one more thing. I would love to know the boundaries you set with friends, how much you tell your friends about your dating life or whatever personal things. I yap so much and always wonder when I shouldn't ask my friends for advice or tell them every detail of things. I end up creating an environment where everyone has an opinion on everything I do, and sometimes it's a lot. I get this. For the first majority of my life until I met Natalie, I didn't have like super close friends. So I didn't say things like, I didn't tell them every single detail of what I was going through, because I hate getting opinions from people in general. Like, I just don't want to hear what others have to say, because I'm going to make my decisions how I want to. It wasn't until I met Natalie, who was my closest friend, who I know that she will just, even if she does give an opinion, it's coming from a place where she's like, I'm just throwing this out there and I can handle that. But there are certain people, for example, Nanny Mom, if you're listening to this, she gives her fucking opinions like it's nothing. So I don't tell her everything, because some things I don't want her opinion on. So you just have to decide what you're okay hearing about, and also finding the people that you can yap to that like might have an opinion, but like also respect that you're going to do what you want to do. Like my friend Natalie, she's like, I love you. This is what I think, but like, pop off, sis. Those are your people. People that try and tell you what to do or change you are not your real, genuine friends. Does that make sense? So number one, just figure out who you can talk to about what things. And some friends offer different perspectives about things. Like, you have friends from work that you can bitch about work to, and then you have your friends outside of work that you can talk about family things to. So like, it just depends on the friends and who you feel comfortable talking to. And let me just reiterate, okay, if you have friends that are mean to you, that leave you out, that don't invite you to things, those are not your friends. I got so many girls that I skipped through on here that were asking me like, what do I do if a friend is mean? What do I do if a friend does this to me? You are not friends with that person, because if you were truly doing that thing, being mean, not including, you would never do that to a friend. So like, somebody treating you like that isn't a friend. And that's just that. Quit settling and keeping shitty people in your life. It is not worth it. It is 10 times better to just have yourself and be on your own in your own good company than have shitty friends or shitty people in your life. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I love you guys. I am your best friend. If you need to talk about something, message me on Instagram. Okay. I will be a better friend to you than probably some of your fakest friends. Just saying. But you guys are the best. Thank you for being here. I hope you loved this episode, and I'll see you next week. Okay. Bye, guys.